go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello, welcome. You've seen it before. Movie reviews, connections in mind. Inside Out 2 is, of course, the sequel to 2015's Inside Out. This time around, it's directed by Kelsey Mann. And we see once again that the emotions inside Riley's head are chugging along. What could possibly go wrong? Well, when puberty happens, all new emotions come onto the scene and upend the status quo, and it is up to joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger to rein in these new complex emotions and prevent them from causing Riley to make some serious mistakes in her life. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Inside Out 2, as well as certain other things. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, though, so just so you know, there will be spoilers later on in this review. But first and foremost, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Inside Out 2. Is it a good Pixar movie? Is it a good sequel to Inside Out? And is it a good theatrical experience? Well, I will say on that, it was very refreshing. You know, it's probably good because it's a family movie, but it's very refreshing to have a packed theater seeing a movie. That seems to be happening less and less these days, and I'm glad that this is a movie that can really pack an auditorium again, because really, it's a pretty decent movie, Inside Out 2. There's definitely going to be some heavy-hitting emotional moments. I won't pretend that I didn't, tear up a little bit, especially near the end. Whether it's with the same kind of emotional hits that people who saw the original movie for the first time will feel, that's up to the individual, of course. However, I will say this is I won't say return to form per se, because I feel like Pixar especially has had some ups and downs recently. But this is a win for this movie would have been to be at least as good as the original Inside Out, and I think this movie accomplishes that. The new voice talent is incredibly good. There's the new emotions I believe are the main one is anxiety. As well as you got envy, you've got ennui, you've got embarrassment. There's a fun little running gag with there's a new character, Nostalgia. She's an old granny going through, and the boy's like, "No, we're not ready for you yet. You got another 10 years to go before we start reeling you out. Just go back to your room." That's a fun little gag that pops up every now and then, and. There's the nice thing about a sequel is you get to explore new aspects of the world that was established. The original movie was all about the world inside Riley's head. You got the control center, you got the memory warehouse or whatever that's aside from all of the emotional islands or whatever, the family islands, Goofball Island, all that stuff. We've seen all that. Here we get to see all new stuff, like, we got, at the bottom of the control center, you've got the core beliefs that are formed from those memories. That's a new addition to this. Also, developing new coping mechanisms of dealing with, positive and negative emotions and how that affects certain things. And, visual representations of, positive and negative emotions and how they interact with one another. These are new things that we've not seen before, and that's really some of the best stuff in this movie. I think probably my favorite stuff my favorite scene in this movie involves the Vault of Deep Dark Secrets. So that's that's another element that we haven't yet to see before, and it's some of the best laughs in the movie as far as I'm concerned. So there's a lot to love about this movie, and if you like the first Inside Out, I think you're going to like the new one. Where I think we get into a little more nuanced issue is it better than Inside Out 2, than the first Inside Out? I would have to say probably not, but is it any worse than the first Inside Out? I would say maybe a little bit. I think the main issue with when you had five main characters of the emotions aside from Riley and the parents, and which are kind of secondary characters. Honestly, well, the parents are kind of secondary characters at this point. When you add four new emotions, you got you've got to nine going on there. And it's hard to balance those things out, and you could tell some of the characters felt a little kind of pushed to the side, and that's kind of inevitable for any expanding casts in a sequel. And it's no surprise that kind of stuff happened here. I mean, the animation still top notch, still a match to the original in pretty much every way. There's really very few negatives that I could point to on this. I just, if there's other negatives that could be said, it feels like they probably could have. It's kind of a good problem to have that you could have explored so many of these other things even more, which I guess you could say, oh, you could leave that into a sequel, or maybe have been a spin-off series on Disney Plus dealing with all these various emotions, but you kind of wish that there's a sense of leaving the audience wanting more, which is a good thing, but also missed opportunities on the other hand. So I would say if there's any negatives, I would say that potentially. But overall, I would say Inside Out 2, pretty darn solid movie. And I don't have really any. Most of the negatives that I would have are kind of nitpicky. I will say there is a end credit scene, so if you want to stay to the very end, there is something for that. I just think the payoff's pretty weak. Your kids might laugh a little bit at it, but I felt that it's like you're building this up you built this up, and all right, we're gonna get a payoff. What is it? That's it. It's that kind of thing. So so those are my main thoughts on Inside Out 2. So if I was going to give Inside Out 2 a letter grade, I would say, my negatives are pretty nitpicky. So I'm going to, this is probably a rarity for me. I'm going to give this an A+. This is a decent movie. If we're going to go from like a percentage grade, well, I would say this is probably a 95%. Let's give it that front as far as an A+ goes. So, yeah, very little negative to say about it. So, like I said, those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Inside Out 2. Now let's get into some spoiler talk at certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Only a couple examples that I have here. One is, so this was a comparison that I think a lot of people made at the time, that the Emoji Movie was a very poor copy of the first Inside Out. Because I think Emoji Movie came out in 2017, I believe. But there is an aspect from that movie that I feel that Inside Out 2 kind of lifted. Did it better than that, but didn't lift. Like you can say that Inside Out 2 did, Emoji Movie did this particular thing first, and that is the innocent exterior of things hiding something very sinister beneath it, or sinister, or something that would want to be hidden. We'll just say, and both of our in this type of movie of the hidden world inside of a human or inside of the phone, in Emoji Movie it was the calculator app or whatever that hides the content on the phone that the kid doesn't want the parents to find out. In this one, it's anxiety's like think tank or whatever hidden inside the pillow fort inside the land of imagination. So there's that comparison to be made here. Also, randomly made me think of a episode of Stargate Atlantis from season 4, I believe, called Doppelganger, where a malicious entity is jumping from person to person and infecting their dreams. And by the end, it's Colonel Shepard fighting a doppelganger of himself inside his head and he's battling, basically it's essentially battling between hope and despair on that front. Kind of similar to how the final conflict between joy and anxiety that was kind of going, and that those battles, the battle within self was reflected, and I think that there's certainly similarities to go for on that front. But overall, I didn't have a ton of comparisons to be made between this movie and others. Like I said, this is a very solid movie, and there's definitely some nitpicking to be made. I feel like when you put it's more of a knock on the advertising, whereas if I had seen the scene about the sarcasm, it might be would have gotten a bit of a chuckle, and it did got me a little bit of a chuckle in the trailer. But once we finally see it and then they expand upon it in the movie, it's like, okay, you've seen this. The joke's gone. It was a minute joke to begin with, and now we're stuck with this for longer because of the movie and not the trailer. It's that kind of stuff that I feel like. So overall, positive experience. Would recommend for sure, especially in the theater. What did you think of Inside Out 2? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which, if the schedule holds, will be for Twisters, which comes out July 19th, I believe. So be sure to look for that. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.